basketball guys, we have news. Let's go to more news from the Golden State Warriors, but before that, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Stephen Curry is a distinguished player and recognized throughout the NBA. He intends to retire with the Warriors, but Curry also wants to be champion once again and urgently. The Warriors want to bring in a new star. Los Angeles Lakers superstar LeBron James is one of the most fascinating athletes in the history of organized sports. Despite his generational traits as a physical anomaly, it's his mind that often steals the show. Few are more aware of that fact than the players who were tasked with attempting to overcome James during his reign of dominance over the Eastern Conference. A James-led team reached the NBA Finals in every season between 2010-11 and 2017-18. It was an almost unprecedented level of dominance over a conference, comparing all but exclusively to the Showtime Lakers, Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls' 2 three-peats, and Bill Russell and the Boston Celtics' 8 straight championships. On a recent episode of the Club 520 podcast, former All-Star point guard Jeff Teague told an incredible story about the way James' mind works. For those who can't see the video, Teague said the following. At All-Star, LeBron told me, we swept them in the regular season. Beat them by 25 every game. He came to me, he was like, I figured y'all out. I said, you figured us out? Man, all he did was run the 3-to-1 pick and roll. He'd bring me up there, set it, I'll hedge. Set it again, I'll hedge again. Set it again, eventually I got a switch. Back me down, get to the free throw line, shoot over me. If somebody help, throw it to J.R. Smith, 3. Throw it to Kevin Love, 3. I was like, yeah, it's over. He figured us out. Ain't no way I can guard, expletive, Braun. It's the epitome of what makes James one of the greatest players ever. When he can't physically overwhelm you, he'll have already diagnosed how to beat you mentally. Cleveland actually defeated Atlanta 127-94 in the first game between the two teams in 2014-15, but success quickly swung in the Hawks' favor. Teague and company won the next 3 games by scores of 127-98, 109-91, and 106-97. Despite the fact that Atlanta, which won 60 games and reached the Eastern Conference Finals, had seemingly figured Cleveland out, it was James who got the last laugh. The Cavaliers completed a clean sweep of the Hawks during the 2015 Eastern Conference Finals. Despite the injuries sustained by Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love, and James' personal lack of efficiency as a scorer, it was a dissection of Atlanta's vaunted offense that propelled Cleveland forward. The Hawks ranked number 6 in the NBA in offensive rating that season, but the Cavaliers held them below 90 points in 3 of the 4 games that series. It was the ultimate testament to what James told Teague, he'd figured Atlanta out. His coaches and teammates played massive parts in that success, but the way a 60-win Hawks team went out against James and the Cavaliers was the epitome of the experience of Eastern Conference teams during that time. Atlanta had unleashed a balanced offensive attack, highlighted by the presence of 4 All-Stars, yet it couldn't buy a bucket down the stretch against Cleveland. The Los Angeles Lakers are hoping that James' generational basketball IQ will help it win at least one more championship with him on the roster. That played out in 2019-20 and resulted in a Western Conference Finals appearance in 2022-23. Entering the 2024-25 season, the 39-year-old James will look to prove that his reign over the NBA won't be over until he ultimately retires. NBA coach says Stephen Curry is the only thing keeping his team's hopes up. The Golden State Warriors are one of the defining teams of the modern NBA, but things haven't been so good for them lately. Recently, an anonymous NBA coach even compared the franchise to a dying rock band that is fading from the spotlight as its lead singer ages. They're like one of those rock and roll bands that are still touring. They still have their lead singer, and he can still do it at a high level, the coach said, via heavy Steve Bulpett. But it's not the same band as before, and they haven't had a hit record in a few years. That championship they won against Boston, that feels like a Lifetime Achievement Award now. Unfortunately, the Warriors' decline has been rapid since then. Many of their key players from the old season have retired, including Shaun Livingston and Andre Iguodala. This summer, fan favorite Klay Thompson left the franchise after a miserable season, and now Steph is facing his first season without his longtime partner on the court. Even with players like Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga, the Warriors can't match their previous production. Other than Curry, they don't have a reliable star to generate easy points, and they don't have the depth necessary to keep up with some of the West's elite teams.